Welcome to the Building Design Primetime Podcast, focused on providing valuable information for anyone looking to undertake a new build or extension project. We'll share our tips, tricks and stories from a building designer's perspective.
Welcome to the Building Design Primetime Podcast. I'm your host Amelia, and once again we're joined by Frank Geskis.
Hey Amelia, how are we?
Oh, pretty good. We've got a long weekend coming up, so I'm happy.
Of course, everyone's happy with the long weekend.
Yeah, you're heading off to the beach for a bit?
Well, depending how the weather goes, might be beach fishing. So
beach fishing. Nice. Fish and chips for dinner.
If I catch anything.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, thanks. There's a good fish and chip shop there anyway if I fail.
There definitely is. So what are we talking about today?
I thought, we should talk about what happens when you have a building project and there's suspicion that it's not going well. And I mean by that the builder is either out of his depth or isn't following the plans or made a mistake on site.
Dragging his feet maybe a little bit.
Dragging his feet, time frame wise, that type of stuff. Just weird vibes. It's an interesting one when things don't go to plan. They can't find certain products and yet it's been agreed in the contract, or you notice, you go for a walk around the site and as an ordinary person you may not see certain things, but the house renos, extensions or new build has to be done exactly as per the plan.
Yes.
Unless the drawings are wrong, and then there has to be an amendment done. So it just has to be followed. It's pretty simple.
Well, it's already gone through all of its planning permits and all of that, so yeah.
But, I've seen some dumb stuff where we've drawn a specific detail for the client, how they want the house to look. The truss manufacturer didn't pay attention to it because it depended on trusses being built a certain way, and they built it as per normal.
Oh, not as per the plans?
Yep, so they couldn't get the look they wanted.
Oh.
Yet they kept building.
That's a bit of a bummer.
Yeah, it got a bit awkward, I tell you.
Yeah, I reckon.
They got that resolved in the end, but it was pretty clear, but it didn't match the drawings.
Yeah.
And the trust guy didn't pay attention to it. Well, that's great. You still got paid for your stuff, but you didn't do the job properly.
So did they redo it?
No, but they came up with an agreement with the customer. Otherwise, means whole new roof, whole new...
Okay.
Mess up the brickwork, whole bunch of stuff.
That's got to be pretty disappointing though, when you have a certain thing in mind.
Well, it's clear on the drawings.
That's clear on the drawings, yeah.
And no one double-checked.
Oh dear.
Anyway, not unusual, I'm afraid. People think it looks standard, slightly different. They didn't double-check the drawings. But there's other things like workmanship. There's some great online videos, either on TikTok, Insta, I'm sure Facebook as well. I don't go on Facebook very much. Where we have this lovely building inspector going around checking out some very ordinary construction.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm really thankful that guy is going around doing that. And there's some other blokes out there doing it too. And I think it's wonderful.
And he's extremely knowledgeable.
But he has to be. If you're a building surveyor,
job,
they have to know this stuff. They need to know the National Construction Code and all the associated standards, the state regulations, the plumbing code and all these other codes like you wouldn't believe. Like,
even manufacturer's specifications.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, whether it's compliant or not. So I'm over the moon that he does that because it makes people aware and educated. And I've seen some of this stuff. But usually after someone's moved in or they've bought a house, and if, for argument's sake, we've gone in to do a renovation and we see, we just had it recently, they pulled apart the house and we posted it online where the roof framing and the upper floor framing was all combined, and the whole upper floor was held on by the floor joists. They were extended to be part of the roof. They were cut on an angle to match the roof angle, but then it had less than 35 mil of timber instead of the 200 millimetres of original timber beam. It only had 35 mil.
That's not very much to hold anything up.
It was holding the whole upper floor up.
Holy moly.
Yeah, it was pretty special, but it was there for, interesting, or at least be a good 30 plus years. So the builder called us up. He's a really good builder, and he said, look, we need to fix this. So we come up with some solutions and sorted it out on site. But that wasn't his fault. It's just what was found.
Yes.
And that's where it's scary. You don't know what's behind your plaster or behind your cladding.
No, that's exactly right. And building inspection only takes you so far.
Superficial.
Yeah.
Can't see what's behind. So these are the things that you can only see the superficial, gutters, plumbing, fixtures, how things are installed, but it doesn't tell you what's behind. But as soon as you start seeing some dodgy stuff like that, you go, oh, what else is wrong? What's behind here? What's under the tiles? What's behind the robe? What's behind the vanity? Yeah, I saw a pearl the other day, and I think it was actually him where it had a vanity, and it was some cheap-ass brackets holding up the whole suspended vanity.
Oh, wow.
Vanities have mounting systems.
Yes.
This one just had some brackets, looks like from the shelving department in Bunnings.
Yeah.
That's not going to last. I suppose the question is, what can you do?
Yeah, what's the process? How does it work?
Well, first things first, to the average person, average mum and dad, they wouldn't know.
No, they probably wouldn't, but they might have suspicions that something's not quite right.
Exactly right. And then I would suggest you need to get someone to have a look who knows. Now, this is where it gets really sensitive. Builders are very protective of their sites and their work because also they're responsible for all the safety on the site as well. So in theory, you can't enter the site without permission.
Yes.
It's not theory, it's fact. I shouldn't say theory. Now, people do anyway, we know that. But it's a building site, it's at your risk, but they are responsible for that site, for work, health and safety, so they should not enter without permission. Now, if they arrange someone else to go in to have a look, well, you can see if you've seen the TikTok videos and Instagram, if builders are on site, they get pretty shirty.
Oh, they do. Yeah.
Now, if they're dodgy, I find them more shirty.
Oh, definitely.
And don't get me wrong, I've had to have some interesting discussions on site and a bit of chest beating and whatnot.
Call out a few things.
And sometimes it wasn't appreciated. Some guys go, yep, fair enough, quality's not good enough, I'll fix that. Other guys go, what would you know, bugger off, blah, 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 blah.
I'm sure there's a few more four-letter words there.
Oh, there was. I remember one case in particular. Yes, there was a lot. Anyway, your other person that's in your corner is the person you've engaged to do all the inspection, and that is your building surveyor, or on the mainland we call them certifiers. They should be your best friend. You've engaged them, not the builder. You've engaged them, unless the builder insists you use that person. That's why it's an independent process. You choose who you think is going to do the job properly.
Surely that would be a red flag if your builder's recommended.
Recommending is fine.
It could be a red flag.
Insisting is a red flag.
Yeah, true.
Yep. So, keeping that in mind, he or her, the building surveyor, going out on site then, hey, I've got some concerns. Can I pay you for an additional inspection? So there's set amount of inspections. I personally think there's not enough inspections on a house.
Yeah.
I reckon there should be another 4 or 5 inspections. And this is all about making sure really good builders are recognised for doing really good work. We've got nothing to worry about, And I personally believe really good builders that are at the top of their game, do exceptional construction, should be recognised for that. Because there's a big gap. I believe there's a big gap in there's some other builders that don't provide great service, quite happy to cut corners, don't think that this should be required under the regulations. That doesn't matter, this doesn't matter. We've got other guys that don't treat what's on the drawings as minimum, they go above that. Yeah, you're going to pay a bit more for it, but they're good builders, been around for a long time, and you're paying what you get for. So your building surveyor is your friend. They might not agree with you, but I believe if you pay them for extra inspections, there's no reason why they can't do that. And they are the authority on site, and they can do stop works and provide instructions, repair that, fix that, non-compliant.
It's called a notice to fix, is it?
It's usually a building notice or a building order to rectify.
Oh, a building order.
In the Tasmanian system.
Okay.
Because specifically if it's not compliant, waterproofing is a classic. If the waterproof is not compliant, well, that's one of the biggest problems in housing is water problems.
Yes.
So there's even brand new houses that waterproofing fails after 2 to 3 years. Utterly ridiculous. It should last the life of the building. That's what it's designed to do. So it's got to be done well. Same with box gutters, guttering, standard guttering, even drainage outside the house. Water destroys buildings.
Oh, it definitely does.
And it can affect the foundations, it could rot out the frame, it can cause mould, make you sick, does all sorts of other weird and wonderful stuff. Okay, so that's why drainage is so important, waterproofing is so important, outside claddings are watertight, decks and balconies are watertight and never fail within the life of the building. But unfortunately, that's not the case.
No, actually, that was a recent video that I saw was a tiled deck.
Yep.
And the inspector decided to, put a bit of water on there, and sure enough, went under the house and water's dripping.
Yep. And that means it hasn't either been installed as per regulations, or there's no membrane. Could be a whole ton of things. Who's speculating? Mm-hmm. But for us personally, at Prime Design, we won't do lightweight tiled decks anymore because we've seen them all fail. Yeah. We'll only do concrete with tiles over the top with a waterproof membrane as well.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of builders heading that way as well because we're just sick of stuff failing. The products are failing. No one wants that.
No, exactly.
So also you've got to be aware of what's the expectations. You as a homeowner, getting a renovation, getting a wall taken out. We spoke about this last time.
Yes.
You're doing little bits and pieces. You're putting a pergola out the back, putting a shed up. I don't care what it is. You have an expectation of what it's going to be, what it's going to look like, and how it's going to be finished, how neat the trades are, how respectful they are, how they park on site even, all sorts of stuff. There is an expectation. But you can't control some of those things. But this is where I believe you need to do some background checks. They talk about homeowners' warranty insurance. Personally, I don't think it's worth the money. If you go and read the fine print of what it actually covers, they're about to reintroduce it in Tasmania, but I know in other states have had it. We got rid of it here 25 years ago. Fine print tells you what you're not covered for, and man, it's a lot.
Yeah, right.
It's huge. So then I don't see what the point. It only covers you for a certain amount. It gives you this false sense of security. If you've got insurance, it should be very clear what it covers. And what it doesn't cover is the time and the pain involved. It is horrific how long it takes.
Oh, and when things do go horrendously pear-shaped.
Even slightly pear-shaped.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
It is awful because, time is money as well.
You may be renting. Your lease has just run out. Promised to be in by October, say, and your lease runs out somewhere in November, December, something like that, and they've gone over 3 months and you've got nowhere to go for 1 month. Mm-hmm. Or it could be worse. You could be for a year and you can't find a rental.
No, that's exactly right.
Not everyone has the luxury to go from their current house, build a new one and move into a new one straight away.
Yes. And
sell the other one or whatever. That's, I think those days are going to be pretty limited going forward.
I think you're right, yeah.
So time is another big factor with these too. Now, sometimes time delays on builds are beyond the builder's control. One of those is wet weather.
Yes.
Can't control the weather. The other thing is selected products that have run out of stock or cannot be supplied, or you have to choose a new tile, or you can't get that bath, or the kitchen supplier, the stock has run out of a certain product, and then you've got to scramble and figure out what is the alternative.
And sometimes it affects other trades, so it's actually delaying everything.
It's a massive knock-on effect. So for argument's sake, if something with the sparky or whatever is delayed, the plasterer can't finish, that means the painter can't do it, that means the kitchen can't be installed, the bathroom can't be installed.
That's right.
And then every other trade after that, from the floor covering guys, the builders fitting out, the final touch-up painting, it just, a whole lot pushes back.
And, those are the sub-trades that maybe they've taken on other jobs in the meantime because they can't be, waiting.
No.
And so then it could be 3-6 months before they're available again, and
exactly.
It's terrible.
At the peak, that's what it was like.
Yeah.
At the moment, it's dropped off a fair bit, so it's not too bad anymore. So another part I want to point out is your contract. Every build should have a contract. They say anything over $20,000. I personally think you have a contract and an agreement for anything.
Even a bathroom reno.
Even just doing a deck out the back that might cost you $5,000 or $6,000. Have a written agreement. Mm-hmm. And there are clear processes for deposits and payments. And it's very clear how you do that. So at any point, everyone can do, if someone does the wrong thing, hey, you got this, I'm not paying you because you haven't done what was agreed.
Yes.
Sounds simple, but be cautious of any builder that doesn't have a standardised contract. Like master builders, HRI have their own contracts, which is fine. Builders use those, but I'd always recommend take it to a lawyer to make sure that your rights are covered. Everything from time delays, problems on site, variations is a big one.
Yes.
And you want to have a contract that covers everything. I don't want to have provisional sums for your tiles or your kitchen. I want a fixed price for my kitchen to the specifications I want.
Not just, an allowance.
I've allowed $30,000 for your kitchen and then you choose a $50,000 kitchen. But I always wanted a $50,000 kitchen, but you didn't specify it.
Yes.
So they've allowed for that. But now you've got a variation of $20,000. Awkward and horrible and delays.
Yes, yes.
So a builder that is well organised, that has all this fixed for you, it's worth its weight in gold. That's what you're paying for.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd always have a lawyer have a look over it, double check, make sure your rights are well covered. Then from there, understand it. They'll be able to talk you through it of what your rights are. The other part is, I feel, don't just choose a builder because he's got some wonderful photos on Instagram.
Oh, it takes a bit more than that.
Yeah. So I believe you need to go interview them, see who they are. Are you going to be able to work with this person? Are they a bit arrogant? You don't click? It's like anything.
Oh, yeah. And this is, a project that can go on for months and several months, So you want to get along with them.
Oh, yeah, it could be up to 6 months, really. It should be for a standard home. 6 months should be more than reasonable, unless you got delays. So I'd get testimonials. I'll ask us, well, who have you built for? Can I go look at their house? Can I go talk to the customers, please? Mm-hmm. And if they don't give it to you, there's a red flag going up in there.
Oh, yeah.
So the other one, I think, and a lot of people have been stung by this, is the financial viability of the builder. Now, there's been a lot of businesses going broke. It was all over the news for about 3 years.
Oh, yeah.
During the boom, people are going bust. Doesn't make sense, but it has, because the price rises on fixed price contracts, the builders can't build it for the money. Now, if they can't build it for the money, what are they going to do?
Take shortcuts.
Exactly. You have to. You've got to make money somewhere. You don't want to build something at a loss. So you're going to make shortcuts, and then disputes, and it all gets horrible. So you're better off finding out if the builder is financially viable. So I would recommend you ask them to get their accountant to provide a stat deck stating that they are in a financial position to build this house with no risk. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's unreasonable, especially if you're going to build something, for $400,000, $500,000 as a basic home. You really want to make sure they can build it.
Yes.
And they're in a good financial standing. I'd also do a Google search, put their name in, put their business name in, do a Google search, see if anything pops up, see if there's been any cases at the local magistrate, disputes, even any financial things, or it might even come up under ASIC, do an ASIC search. Have they run multiple businesses? Have they been banned from running a business and use family members?
Yes.
Because ASIC information is generally available to then see, well, why aren't you a director of your own building company? Who's this person?
Yeah, exactly.
Are you the actual person that holds the licence? It's an interesting one too, because in Tasmania you've got to have a licence, and in a lot of other places there's licences. Are you the person holding the licence doing the actual building works? And then I think there's reasonable questions for that. Now, if you're a bigger company, the bigger building companies might do 100 homes a year, that person may not be directly that builder, but they are part of the directorship or part of the business operations, and their licence goes down under all the builds.
Mm-hmm. More common with your project builders.
Yep. And if you've got smaller projects, you can go online or ring CBOS, whatever, and find out if this person is licensed to do the job. You have to be a licensed builder to do a whole range of work in Tasmania. Make sure they're licensed. If they're not licensed, don't let them on site.
Yeah, well, that's another interesting fact, because I've seen before where someone has been a project manager and they've been on site, but it's come under somebody else's building licence. Yeah,
there's a big risk with that as well. I've been involved with one just recently, and it caused utter mayhem. And luckily, this actual builder whose licence was used has come back to help fix the problems.
Okay.
So something's gone awry, and he said, no, I'm fixing that. It's my licence. So licences are very important. Tasmania, do not accept anyone who doesn't have a licence to do the job that you're asking. And you can check with CBOS. you can actually ring us at Prime Design. We can look on CBOS for you if you have to. So then you also looking at, are they a member of the Master Builders and HIA? Are they a good standing member? Now, please be aware, these are a membership group. They are not there to deal with disputes.
No.
That's not their job. They are membership support. Now, if they find a member is doing the wrong thing, really doing the wrong thing, and there's proper evidence for that, they would have a process of going about, well, you can't be a member because this, that and the other has been proven. That is not the standard of builders we wish to have as a member.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure they would do that. They'll kick them out.
Oh, definitely.
But I also think that, like I said, the ASIC search is a good one as well. What are they operating under? And you might be able to see it in Tasmania, Tas Collections, amongst other places. Have they got a good credit rating?
That's another one I never thought to check.
Yeah. We're trying to eliminate as many potential issues because at the end of the day, you're spending some serious coin. Even if you're just doing a bathroom for $30,000, is it $30,000 you can lose?
$30,000 in most people's mind is a lot of money.
But guess what? It's not a $30,000 fix if it goes wrong.
No, that's exactly right.
It ends up being a $60,000 fix.
Yes.
Because it has to be redone again, double handling, undoing all the work. So just think about it. Make sure that person has got a licence, they've got insurance, they are registered to do exactly what they're allowed to do under the licensing agreements in Tasmania or anywhere in Australia for that matter. And every state would have a different process of finding out, are they financially viable? Have they been in disputes? Do they run a dodgy shell company or something like that as well? And get testimonials.
Yes.
It's all pretty simple, isn't it? Not.
So simple.
Because the reputation of builders have been tarnished really heavily for the last 3 years with all these builders going broke and people are left with a slab and a frame that's rotting in the weather.
Or people complaining because the contract price has increased on what they thought,
Well...
And I know they can't help that. That is a tough one.
But the problem is if your budget doesn't go any further, this is where it gets really horrible because the prices are still going up now. It's 2025 and the prices are still going up. They weren't going up as fast as it was in 21 to 23 because that was astronomical, but they're still going up. But a builder now can envisage some of those price rises because it's going at a slower pace. You've got to be real careful on these variations and make sure variation is a variation to the contract. But with price rises, a builder might have to come back, I'm sorry, I can't do this because this has gone up significantly, or if the project's been delayed for 12 months,
yes,
for whatever reason, says I can't stick to that price. So the contract price or the price given, has got an expiry date.
Yes.
And that's why you want to start building straight away. Once you've got that contract, it's locked in. And it's better for the builder to get it done faster.
Oh, exactly.
So there's a few take-homes for you.
Oh, definitely. One other thing I wanted to bring up was the occupation certificate.
Oh, yes, that little chestnut.
Yeah, so I've come across situations where customers have moved into their house without an occupation certificate.
That's not how it's done.
It's not how it's done.
That's why it's called an occupancy certificate.
You can't occupy it until you have the certificate to say you can occupy it.
Yeah, because that tells me it's an incomplete build.
Exactly.
So then there comes a safety issue. There becomes a health issue.
An insurance issue?
Well, who says you're going to get insurance?
Well, exactly. It's an
so as soon as
insurance
you move
issue.
in, whose insurance does it go under? Yours
Or the builders? Yeah, exactly.
And then the builder's got to walk around, work within while you're living there.
Yes.
It's total madness.
It is.
And I understand people are forced in those situations due to delays. It's a horrible situation. Terrible.
Really bad.
That's why you need to, have plenty of contingencies in place.
Exactly.
And that's sometimes I wouldn't build. If I was stuck like that, I'd be buying rather than building.
Yeah, it certainly seems simpler in a lot of ways.
Oh, definitely. So you need to consider those things. Yeah, when we heard a few of those stories, I nearly want to cry for those people.
That's awful.
It is just terrible.
People getting kicked out because they weren't supposed to be occupying the property.
But the builder hasn't finished and then it's poorly done and it's costing more money and you end up with a pretty shit build.
Yeah.
No one wins.
No one wins.
And if our little inspector mate online sees him, he's not scared to name and shame.
Oh, he's definitely not. We
Because-
need to get him on the podcast.
Yeah, you've tried, haven't you?
I've tried. I need to try again.
Because those builders that are not being professional bring down the whole industry. Brings down the quality builders that want to do more than just the norm, go well above. From the build, the timing, the service, and they're proud what they build. Mm-hmm. I love builders, talking to builders, and you can just see how they're beaming in pride over the houses they build. And that's why a lot of builders love doing complicated builds. It really gets them going.
They're passionate.
Really good builders are passionate.
Yeah.
They love it. And I love seeing it. It's like, you can talk to them for hours on this stuff.
And we love working with them.
Oh, 100%.
You know, it makes the process so much easier.
But even the builders that just do your smaller project homes, or we've got some guys that just specialise with extensions and renos. They're passionate about it. Mm-hmm. And they don't want stuff coming back because they've been in the business for, 20, 30 years.
Exactly.
Those are the guys you want. They're passionate. No bullshit. Get on with it and just beaming with pride at the end of it.
That's a pretty good take home.
It is. That's why you need to talk to the other customers they've had.
Yeah. So main take homes are your building surveyor's your friend.
He's your friend.
Check
and,
your
and if he's not your friend, you need to go talk to a lawyer or talk to CBOS.
Yeah.
But also if your concerns are legitimate.
Yes.
Okay. Interview your builders.
Yes.
And I believe we've got some stuff online to help interview builders, questions to ask. Actually, we might make a document out of all these things and we'll put it online.
That's a good idea. I've got some work to do.
Yep. And you've got a week to do it with a long weekend.
Oh, my goodness.
Get testimonies from previous customers. Go visit the projects. Talk to the customers whether they're happy with the service, the cost, the clarity, the communication. Do a Google search on them personally and on their business. See if anything pops up. Do an ASIC search. Same thing. Are they the director or their partner, whatever it may be, together? Are they licensed? Every state's different. Find out if they've got the licence. And are they a member of the MBA and HIA, if they are in good standing? Mm-hmm. And if possible, check their credit rating.
There's some really good points there.
Yeah, I hope so.
All right, we might wrap it up there, folks. Thanks for listening to the Building Design Primetime Podcast.
Catch us later.
You're listening to the Building Design Primetime Podcast.